Hi, this is Steve Wiideman, and welcome to another episode of Unbottleneck, the podcast where we try to help solve common internet marketing problems. Today, we're talking about harnessing the power of LinkedIn for your business. And our guest today is Judi Fox. Judi is a business visibility secret weapon for C-suite executives, business owners, and venture capitalists. By increasing their visibility, Judi accelerates businesses and entrepreneurs so they can confidently market and sell their services and products. After generating over 5 million views on LinkedIn in the last 2 years, Judi developed the LinkedIn Business Accelerator method. Now over 200 of her clients are implementing the LinkedIn method in order to achieve significantly more business. Yahoo Finance is calling her one of the top 10 LinkedIn coaches to work with in 2021. And her Accelerator program has generated over 3 million views in 2018, an average of 600 likes and comments per post, increased following from 2 to 23,000 in a year, reversed engineered the whole process, and now her LinkedIn Accelerator is on its feet and rocking, something you should definitely check out. Judi, thank you so much for joining us and talking with us today about harnessing the power of LinkedIn. How are you doing?
Excited to be here.
That was a long intro. That
I
was
know. I'm gonna have to shorten and cutify it. I don't
not
just
at
kidding.
all. That was
Results,
amazing.
resultify it.
I wouldn't change a thing. That was fantastic. So I got the first question for you. You ready?
Mhm.
Is LinkedIn social media, in your opinion? Because it is kind of a business thing, right? People think of social media like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But a lot of, especially millennials maybe and younger audiences, they don't really think LinkedIn's a social network. Is LinkedIn social media? What's your take on that question and the core difference between the platforms?
So I have to say it is now. I think the ability to do native video just flipped the platform on its head. And also the ability, it used to be a place where it technically was always social media for anyone with a huge audience, like Richard Branson, right? Like I got his name right, Sir Richard Branson there.
Sure, yeah, you gotta get that one in there.
Hope I got
Good
his
one.
name right. Or Sarah Blakely or the Gary Vaynerchuk. So you've got these people who had a platform, they could make content on LinkedIn
Right.
and they could write articles and they could do a lot more with LinkedIn than the regular person because they were an LinkedIn influencer.
Mhm.
But LinkedIn's opened up the gates to understand that we all are leaders. We all can create content and put our voices out there. And I really appreciate that kind of got unleashed on everybody. The ability to write your article, write your post, start a newsletter, put a native video out there. It really unlocked things on LinkedIn, the merge between business and social media.
Right. I've noticed a difference. If you're on Facebook and you do a really heavy business post on your personal profile, people are kind of turned off by it. Like, what? We want to hear about you and who you are and what's going on in your life right now. Then if you do the opposite in LinkedIn and you post a funny anecdote or story or or meme or something as your post, people are like, hey, this isn't Facebook.
I do think it's funny when I see the Facebook police. It feels
Huh?
like it's Facebook versus
Is that a
LinkedIn, and
thing?
I don't know
Facebook?
why they pick just those 2, but it's like, this isn't Facebook, and that belongs somewhere else. And just to even touch on a touchy one,
Mhm.
politics is extremely, sensitive for people that police and say, "That doesn't belong here." Well, here's the thing. It does, and here's my opinion for why it belongs. Every single business is dealing with taxes, regulations, compliance. Those are business conversations that if we don't have them and if we don't have smart people talking about these subjects, experts, then how are people going to get access to new regulations, new conversations? What is coming so you know how to reach out to people in your community level? I'm not
Sure.
talking about national politics. I'm just talking about communities trying to make decisions for their local their local offices and local situations, and it's politics is business. Like to
So
if
when you're
we
when you're in a business social
ah,
network, is it more appropriate to be less emotional and a little more kind of bipartisan in a sense, or like in Facebook, you can just lash out. I'm
Mhm.
pissed. I'm having a horrible day, and everybody jumps in. Oh, what's wrong? What's going on? And LinkedIn, is it more appropriate to say, "Hey, I'm concerned about or is anyone else concerned about, as opposed to I hate, or this pisses me off, or
A leadership level of conversation on LinkedIn is what really gets visibility and what truly can get you business.
right?
So some of the people I see doing it really well are yourself. And
I had help.
what were you gonna say?
I had help. Hashtag Fox Rocks.
And also when I think of somebody like Jackie Hermes, I hope I say her last name. I'm like, it's Jackie. So what I see her post from owning a business, so she has a SaaS B2B company,
Hmm.
and she is posting in a way that opens up curious questions from a leadership voice. Instead of getting up in a meeting, it's the equivalent of standing up in front of her team and saying, here's what I see coming. Here's what I see happening in our industry. Do you have any ideas for how we're going to approach this or solve it? Or what can we learn from this? Or like, what are you also kind of struggling with? How does a leader show up when you want to get your team to open up to you about their struggles? That's
Right.
the exact same way you think about being on LinkedIn.
I remember seeing something like that in Quora a while back. Somebody had asked the question of what's missing in social media. And I remember just coming up with what I thought was the biggest long form, best answer of anything ever. But because I didn't have clout on Quora, my answer got buried. And
Mhm.
somebody who was more well known had some short blurb and he got all the votes. And I was like, all right, I'm done with Quora.
But
So,
it's definitely, I like to tell people, delete the word LinkedIn is professional, delete it. LinkedIn is leadership. I think professional catches people and freezes people because I'm not going to work. When I was in the corporate space, the
mm-hmm.
biggest message I was getting from my bosses, and of course, I don't know what other people are getting, but I know what I was getting. I was getting, how do I become a better leader?
Right.
I wasn't getting lessons on how to become more professional because professional just to me seems buttoned up and
Mm-hmm.
it seems less vocal ish. It doesn't imply I'm doing something with it. It seems very static in time.
Nobody wants to follow a professional. So they want to
Right.
follow a
Isn't
leader.
that true? Like we talk about leadership. And so I think change the concept of what you think about LinkedIn just with that one sentence, that Quora high vote blurb that would
Sure.
just get all the likes and votes. LinkedIn is leadership.
I love it. So that's actually, I'm going to put that in the comments too. I think that's fantastic. Can you give us a little background on this LinkedIn Business Accelerator? I mean, what is it, and how did you get started with it?
So I joined LinkedIn right before I was about to move international, and I had taken a leave of absence, or now they call it furlough. But in the 2008 crisis, I got faced with okay, I had a full time, amazing job that I loved, but I was faced with, uncertainty, and the company had a lot of uncertainty because they were in the building industry. I was literally working for United States Gypsum Corporation, which
Mm,
is a sheetrock supplier. So yeah, that's getting cut if there's no housing starts.
mm,
And what happened was that leave of absence turned into me understanding and networking. So I spent a solid amount of time with less things to do. And 2009 was my year of just spending a crap ton of time on LinkedIn. It sounds like some people would say, what? That doesn't make any sense. But I challenged myself during that time to send one just custom,
mm,
what are you up to? I wasn't trying to pitch them. I just was trying to reach out to my past network to network to my next job because I knew when I got back from traveling after a whole year and I
mm.
had rented out my townhouse, I was going to finally need income. I was going to finally need a job. I had
Who
the
needs income,
means and
right?
the ability to take a year off is basically what happened. So,
Sure. That's incredible. They oftentimes people ask me, "How did you become an expert in, some of the things that I do?" And I'm like, I don't really consider myself an expert. It's just something that I've done so much and so often, especially in the early days when we didn't have all the tools to streamline it and take shortcuts and drag and drop things. It was a
mhm.
very manual, hard process. And so just doing it repetitiously it becomes sort of second nature to you. And I'm sure you took all of those learnings and responses and response rates to things. And you said, you know what, I could build a program from this. I can actually teach people, what worked for me and how I, was able to generate, actual, relationships and connections.
Yeah, I had so I believe that we all can use coaches to fast forward us to things and niches that we didn't know we could be fast forwarded through.
Right.
And one thing and why I ended up launching and creating this LinkedIn Business Accelerator was because I was challenged by a coach to basically reverse engineer. She said, if that's your sweet spot, my background is chemical engineering. She said, why? What is stopping you from turning around and saying, if I was going to start over today on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
step 1, step 2, step 3, what would you do? And I'm like, oh, well, that's second nature to me. And so I built it out. It's definitely one of those things that when you know so much and you've been doing it for so long, it does take a different mindset to go backwards.
That's so true. And the more I think about the routine of doing anything, like you said, when someone's like, "Hey, could you write something down?" Like, I don't need to write it down. I can tell you right now. I've done it a million times. How do I
Mhm.
how do I rank in local search results? Well, it's data management, it's local landing page, it's
It's
data
like breathing.
visibility and reputation. You do those four things repetitively, you'll rank in local. And suddenly everyone's like, "Oh my god," you're like, I just say it so often that it's like second nature.
Mhm.
Um, all right, question for you. If you think you want to add LinkedIn to your content strategy, um, let's just think about this for a second. What I tell people a lot is to start by creating LinkedIn. This is something that you had said to me before. If you think you want to add LinkedIn to your content strategy, what you tell people is to start by just creating LinkedIn as the content pillar and
Mhm.
then move that content to Facebook because it works in that direction. It's always easier to make your own content a little even more playful than to polish it up. Can you break that down and give our listeners a little bit of an example of how that might work?
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say to any busy business owner who is saying, I want to add LinkedIn in 2021, for example, we tend to look in chunks of time spots. And I feel like we're going to come up soon into 2021. Right now, we're speaking November of 2020.
Yeah, blink
And
your eye.
I'm not trying to not make this evergreen, by the way, but that's how we think. We think, okay, a new year's coming up. What do I want to accomplish this year? Well, if you want to accomplish adding LinkedIn anytime into your strategy, you're already probably spending time other places. So I
Mhm.
think the biggest challenge I have with busy business owners, CEOs, anyone in the C suite, in order to add something, the easiest thing is to take what you were already doing somewhere else. You're already creating content for Instagram. Stop creating it for Instagram, create it for LinkedIn.
Right.
Then make that your first place you're going to think of putting the content and then just put it out on Instagram. I'm not saying don't remove yourself from Instagram, just take what gets built because most of the time, and I've seen this over and over, I can create, and most of my clients now can create content for LinkedIn
Uh-huh.
and way more easily move it to Instagram and make it a little more casual, a little more playful, or dial back some of the maybe business aspect and turn it
Don't
around.
have to reinvent the wheel. That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's easier for our brains to go the other way sometimes.
I did something interesting 2 months ago is I took the Facebook app, I was on my home screen on my phone, and I moved it into my creator folder on my phone where my Instagram and other things I don't use very often are, and I moved my LinkedIn to where my Facebook app was. So it
Nice.
was more front and center, and now when I'm on my phone, I'm thinking, "I got a few minutes, I wanna create something, I wanna do something." I see it there, front and center, I don't see Facebook. Um, I'll still get alerts on Facebook and I'll still respond and still be available. But I find that that's from what am I getting out of the time I'm investing in social media? I feel like LinkedIn, I'm getting so much more. I'm getting, new connections who genuinely want to learn about me and work with me. Facebook, it's more about, will you be my friend? It's like, I'm not sure where this could benefit either of us other than just we need more friends, right? Whereas
Yeah.
in LinkedIn, it's like when you want to connect, it's not we my friend, you want to connect, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity to market together, to cross promote together, to give referrals to each other, to do podcasts and webinars together. You don't really have that in Facebook. You're not going to do a jump on a direct message and say, hey, you want to do a podcast about your biking trip this weekend, Uncle Joe, right? It's like it just doesn't make sense. So that's a fantastic idea too. It's like just taking what you're already doing and just reinvesting that time into LinkedIn as a starting point. That works for me. I mean, you can see the difference in what we've been doing and
Mhm.
LinkedIn just by a couple little changes in the daily habits and, putting LinkedIn front and center. What,
Oh, I was going to jump in and add just a micro thing to that, which is the speed of business is faster on LinkedIn than on Facebook. I will say Instagram has a pretty good speed of business. People are in a mindset to maybe purchase, maybe close on business. But Facebook versus LinkedIn, again, I'm running more of a business, a service, any business development or sales that I've done more in a sector of anything that is just more engineering, being a consultant, all of that, even being a coach. I feel like Facebook, to be honest, seems a little skeptical. There's way more touch points to decide you're a legit business and I want to work with you and spend thousands of dollars, whereas LinkedIn's ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
they just need to know you have the social capital, the proof, the referrals, the recommendations, and they're ready to do business.
Which is easy to see because your profile is basically a resume, whereas your
Yes.
profile on Facebook's here's where I live and here are the sports I like. Worst part is you think you're connecting with somebody on Facebook who might be a good business contact, and then you immediately get a direct message spam of I'm guest blogger, I write for your site, and you're like, you're a writer, and don't friend somebody just to spam them, it's not cool. So yeah, really burn on that. Biggest mistakes businesses and individuals are making on LinkedIn. What do you think?
You're making a mistake by not being on LinkedIn. um, you're making a mistake by not working with me on LinkedIn. I'm just kidding. I'm being
Oh,
fun
I can vouch for that one for sure.
now. The biggest mistake is being too self-focused.
Okay.
And the platform, I love to make the assumption the platform is pretty smart.
Yeah.
I think when you enter into the platform and you assume they need you, they need your help, assume instead that the platform doesn't really need your help. They need your support. They need to pick your brain, but that's different than needing your help.
Right.
Because I feel like this energy of I'm here to help you, it actually creates a hero that needs to rescue a victim.
Right.
And that creates a weird dynamic that the platform can see it and they don't really people are like, I don't know how to like and comment. And I'm saying it goes from the direct messages to the posting. Just don't try to be the hero. You're not there to get on LinkedIn and save anyone by helping them. You're there to be a supportive peer, because you can show up to support your colleagues and peer, which actually positions you very nicely next to people who are your peers.
Yep.
And that is good social capital. But you were not here to rescue your peers. So I feel like too many people jump on LinkedIn and they were like, I'm here to help, I'm here to serve. And the platform doesn't resonate with that.
Sure. That's fascinating. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. And in fact, when I first started LinkedIn, I did it completely wrong. I jumped in and I'm like, me. Here's a video I did, and here's a article I wrote, and here's some stuff you might like. And it was like, what's the word I want to use? It was tumbleweeds through the desert. Like, what is going on? This is not working. I'm creating amazing stuff. Is this too much push, without being asked for it? And I think you're right. The approach is find where there's the people that are struggling and say, hey.
And they may need your help. It's not that they don't need it. They just don't want to be told that you are the one to help them. They don't want to be, they don't want to be forced like that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. They don't want to be even like forced to the water. Like, they want to come to your content and consume it and be like, oh my gosh, that really helped me.
Right.
It's the difference of you just removing your agenda and just making high intention that it will help people, but not forcing it with such an energy of this will help you.
What we're saying is leave the ego on Instagram. Got it.
Yeah, come here you don't have to tell us you're here to serve us. You're going to just do it through your actions. Your actions are going to speak louder than your words. So yes, be there, take action, give what you want to get. So you sit down on LinkedIn and say, what do I want to get from LinkedIn? And think about how to go give it.
That's an amazing idea. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience filming a video every day for 4 years, and how did that come up, and what changes or transformations happened for you along the way?
Wow. So that goes back to my journey, which I told you I signed on to LinkedIn right
Right,
at the edge of 2008, 2009.
right.
And I loved it. I actually had a piece of content, and I'm sure you would appreciate this, but I didn't know there was a website that you could track how many people have shared a piece. So a piece that I had created on my blog, and then I had, moved it out everywhere online, I found out it had been shared over 7,000 times.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
7,000 shares
amazing.
in 2012, 2013. So that period of time, and that got me so much visibility that if I had known back then what I understand now, but you have to have it happen. Like, you have to
Mm,
know there's a formula, and I loved researching, why do things go viral? Why does this work? Why did people share that 7,000 times? And I don't
mhm.
even sometimes I look at that and I'm like, "What happened?" But I
How do
just
I do this
found out you
again? Yeah,
research that you could find out something that scrapes the internet to find out all the shares. I didn't even
right.
know that existed. That's a new
Yeah, there's a
market
lot
I
of really neat tools out there. I remember back in the 2000s, one of the things that I did because I was frustrated, I was trying to find a solution to a problem, and search engines were useless, and I'm like, this is not helpful. So when I finally figured out what the problem was, I started blogging it. I would say, "Hey, are you stuck trying to figure out why your Time Warner internet goes down at 1 in the morning? Well, here's what's going on, and here's how I fixed it." And I got all sorts of comments. You saved my life. This is amazing. How come there's nothing online? And or a simple thing like with Google Ads, you couldn't create multiple accounts at some point. So it was really difficult to create a new Google account to add a new customer back in the day before they made it easier. And so I did a video and I showed people how I figured it out and how to get around it. And it has like 23,000 views. I'm like, wow. And in SEO to get 23,000 views back in the 2000s is, because no one even knew what that was back then. So that was kind of neat. But yeah, so you find problems that you can't find the solution to yourself, and then you be the creator. You create the answer,
Mhm.
whether you're putting it on LinkedIn or Quora or your own website, or Medium, or any site that we know gets a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Um, you're solving problems that that you figured out on your own because what you found in search wasn't helpful.
Yeah. So that experience, and then I was kind of on a trajectory where I had literally hit a post with 7,000 views. I was going to keep posting and content, and I was starting to film video, more video.
Mhm,
And then I got hit with a personal family crisis and
mhm.
that hit me really, really hard. I ended up kind of starting, not kind of, I started my life over at 38, and I'm 44 now. So that's to give you a little range there. So
You
that was
you and me both. We're
2014.
both 44.
Yeah, so it was 2014, 38 years old. I packed up whatever I could in my car and I started life over with what I could fit in a Mazda 5 and my kid. And that was my life. I was running my own business.
Mhm.
LinkedIn was my world. I took myself off every other social media platform. Like, I didn't delete my account, but I went total silence. No Facebook
Dark.
likes, no interaction, no commenting, nothing. Zero activity. And the only activity was LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And then that's when I found there was an app called 1 Second a Day
Okay.
that encourages you to take a video every single day and gives you a little reminder on your phone. And I did that because I was going through such a tough time emotionally, and just I loved making content, but I wasn't making content. I didn't make content publicly for 4 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, behind the scenes, I was DMing, I was still running a thriving business, I was still closing contracts. LinkedIn
Sure.
was my world, but it was all behind the scenes LinkedIn. Like,
Right.
I was one of those people that would not like your post. I would see Steve in the news feed and I would send him a direct message. "I just saw this post. It was
You
great."
just didn't wanna be public as
I
much.
didn't want anyone to see any of my activity online. And just to be really blunt, people can take whatever you say on social media and use it against you or twist
Right.
it. And I'm not trying to be negative, but that's what I was facing. I was concerned with what I was currently going through. So
Right.
I
And
uh
and you made it through though.
I am
You're
through, and the
crossed it.
moment my very first post when I came through that whole situation, it went viral. It was over 12,000 views
Oh my
in a
god.
day.
Jeez,
My
that's insane.
first post right after coming out of the 4 years.
And then you just you saw that number and you were just like, I
And
got
then it
it.
was like
Still
100,000 and then
got it.
50,000 and then
That's
a million.
incredible.
I had 500,000 on a post within the next 8 months because and I will say, I have to remind myself, I did understand it. I just took myself and went silent, and then I came out, and somebody said that 4 years probably changed how your brain worked. I wasn't as attached anymore to
Yeah,
anything that I probably was on social media before because I came on with a different mindset.
that's incredible.
And video for 4 years on your phone that nobody ever sees gets you really comfortable on video.
I have to try that.
Yeah.
I don't do
Can be
enough.
weird. If nobody's gonna see it, you can be whatever you wanna be.
And then yeah, you just get in the habit of it, and then you could probably even in your mind pretend like, hey, this is getting seen, and just kind of practice, and then you get to a place where like, all right, I'm really gonna do it this time.
Yeah, pointed the camera at myself for any reason, and the whole point was actually to document me and my son and to have memories and not because how many memories was I creating because I was posting on Facebook?
Yeah,
I was actually creating a lot more memories because I was thinking about posting on Facebook, but now I was creating memories and actually accidentally got really freaking good on camera because I was just trying to maintain a feeling of reminding myself there's really good moments during each day.
right. That's
So,
just a really interesting concept, and if you're listening to this, I would try it for a week just to get
yeah,
the
just a
experience of
week.
doing it. You know.
And now I have a video compilation. I've only made one where I compiled all the seconds and I compiled it into a video and I put it on LinkedIn. It's a cute video. It's me and my kid.
Oh,
So,
we got to put the link in the comments
okay.
for sure.
Cute
All right.
video.
So a minute ago, I mentioned solving problems, and one of the things that we do in the SEO world is we use tools and even questions people search for that you find in the search results. Do you take a keyword-driven approach to bios, posts, and other content on LinkedIn? Obviously, we're always paying attention to the keyword use and optimization in SEO, but I'd be curious, how much you feel it's helped you in your efforts on LinkedIn.
It's 1,000% helped. I don't know if I ever had any official SEO. Like I was always fascinated by what gets visibility. And you can figure out what gets visibility by going out and figuring out SEO and understanding why these keywords matter, who's searching, how much search volume, how much people want to see that topic.
Right.
That will impact what you write anywhere on social media. I don't care what platform it is.
Mhm.
If that topic is needed, that is a quote unquote potential viral topic. How you phrase it, how you package it, how you put it out. And so I have a client that we wanted to make a post about how recruiters are ghosting,
Mm.
clients or whatever it is. There was a topic about ghosting. So I took the word ghosting in recruiting and I
Okay.
put it out on Google and I used all of my tools and I didn't even know some tools that existed. I'm just probably
Goofing
going
around.
around
Oh, we
plugging
do.
and playing everywhere.
Mhm. Yep.
But what I found out was that there was a higher amount of people searching for a certain phrase. And then I also went into the literal looking for this phrase on LinkedIn and what posts went viral. You can find
Mm.
what post with this phrasing has gone viral on LinkedIn.
Interesting.
So if you want to just reverse that, I then was able to come up with the title and the edits and the copy that would go viral. And so it went to about 20, 30,000 views, which I
Wow.
think is perfect. But the first edits, it was not going to go viral. It
Mm.
had to have that research to know that there was already a viral article on the topic. We weren't creating an article, we were putting out a video.
Yeah,
So,
you're
and it
kind of
was how to stop
piggybacking on the
ghosting.
theme. I love it.
People wanted to know how to stop ghosting. That was what it ended up becoming.
That is so cool. So yeah, so again, for those folks who are listening, do your research. And if you need
Even
ideas for
just a
keyword
simple
tools, hit it
Google
up.
search, you'll
Yeah,
find the top things on the first page and just look at those titles.
yeah,
Look at what got brought up.
that's an interesting concept. Um, professional personal divide. Do you restrict personal posts to other platforms only, or and we talked about this a little bit earlier, have there been times when you've broken the rule?
So since 2014, I haven't really broken too much of that wall.
Okay.
I think mainly because how do I say this? Um, I've mentioned this on other podcasts, but I ended up because of custody.
Hmm.
People can grab anything on social media you've ever said and then try to put it against you to literally, for me personally, to have my own words read back to me in a court. I
Wow.
will never say something on social media again that I would not be willing to have read back to me in court. Once you've experienced it, it is such a gut-wrenching experience that I literally I just can't do it. It's drilled in me that I remember before that, that is something because I was on the edge of the legal field in the environmental world,
Sure.
but it's true. You really don't wanna ever put in writing, and now with how much video, how much we can record each other, how much goes viral online because we make some mistake
Quickly.
somewhere,
Hmm.
the cancel culture. I'm not walking around the earth being private to my close friends and family. I think that's different, but I'm not gonna put it in writing. I really won't. If I have a vent, you're gonna be hanging out with me, and I'll vent then.
It's actually a smart idea too. If you think about it, that's that phrase, right? When it's and once it's online, it's permanent, right? And so and people can take down things, but by the time they do, so many people have already taken a screenshot of it, and it's there forever. Even even the president will tweet some things, and someone will say you shouldn't have done that, and they'll take it down, but it's
It's
too late.
there already.
The snapshots already all over the news. Speaking of controversial topics like politics, controversial question for you. Have you
Ooh,
opened an account on Parler or Rumble? And even if you're not an advocate of those platforms, do you see any value in following those spaces?
I love the controversy. I have not been on either of those platforms. I've never heard of Rumble. I've heard of Parler mainly because of just being on Facebook. I probably because of 2014, I feel like that's like my timeline where I was like, "Facebook now." I spend some time over there, but I just really don't. I try to stay out of any of the drama, the venting.
Mhm.
I am my comment back on something controversial on Facebook, I just don't think it's gonna change anybody's mind. That's
Right.
my opinion.
I've
So,
always felt the same way. And some people are like you have to have a voice, it's your obligation. And
I
these
have my
parlors and
voice on
Rumbles give
LinkedIn.
you a filter-free place that you can say whatever you want. And just like I don't know, I feel like if I read something on those sites, I get tense up and I feel stressed and anxious. And is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not attracted to go over to any of the places that I'm not worried. I'm not worried that like, "Oh, I wish I was on all these other sites because I need to move over there." My whole thing is I truly and honestly can get way more involved in my local politics and probably make more of a difference by being in my local community, going to my local events.
Hmm.
To be really blunt, I just don't know if anything I say or say on public on social media is going to change the public
Yeah.
situation that we're currently going through. I'm more likely to impact a friend and a family or somebody here in my
And
neighborhood.
feel the impact from it immediately. Whereas when you post it out on the web, it just becomes part of the noise.
So
So
my neighborhood, I could talk to a neighbor and I feel like that ripple effect is literally it sounds crazy, but we forget how much impact just one good conversation with a real neighbor who you see in person.
mhm.
I have a hard time with the all of the online, like everything is so crazy. Um yeah,
Definitely,
so
definitely something everyone should think about for sure. And even if you are still interested in voicing an opinion on these networks, do it in addition to doing something locally. Step outside and look around and see where you can make a difference locally. I love that idea. So let's talk one more time about this LinkedIn Accelerator. Um, it's we've been part of this program, and it's intense. There's a lot of work involved. It's worth every penny of it.
We just
I
had
know
a
you can only
post
take
get 200 comments for you. I was like dying. I was like, we're 2 comments away. I'm just gonna
6,000
go in and make
views
those
of
2
that
comments.
content. I've been bragging about it all week. So
But I did,
if,
you know what work I did for that? I went on Facebook. I went, all these places to find the most viral pieces of that type of post.
okay,
So that was the work that goes behind that.
the
How do
research.
you take it from these, and sometimes people see it as small tweaks, but they're really the final thing that I can see. Oh, it went viral on Facebook because XYZ. You said it this way and it was phrased and it had these markers that we don't even realize as a consumer of content that that is the thing that got us to engage.
Mhm. It's true. So how would somebody get signed up with this accelerator? You have a site that they could go to, or do they just tag you on LinkedIn and
Pay me
connect
some
with you?
money. I'm kidding. I actually really prefer, and I will see how long I want to do it this way, but I interview everybody. They interview me and I interview them. So I do 30-minute calls and then I'll send you the packages. I have them pretty organized with here's what I offer.
Mhm.
And that's the process. I appreciate that I'm working with a real person, a real team,
Yeah.
and I have to know that it's gonna make sense because I don't want anyone to work with me and then feel like they're frustrated or they had different expectations for
Yeah.
LinkedIn. It's really not a place that you maybe use the same as some other platforms. So you do have to spend a little bit of time. We spent 4 weeks going through kind of the modules to say, here's the mindset of LinkedIn. Here's you're going to have to connect different dots. And it doesn't mean you have to spend all day every day, but at the
Mhm.
beginning, it does take that work to work up to a 200 comment post. But I can fast forward you in 4 weeks much faster
Yeah.
than a lot of people try to get on and do it themselves. So was that a long answer? Get on a call
No,
with me. Book a call. I
fantastic.
have a Calendly link in my profile or on my website. It says pounce like a fox on a call with Judi Fox.
Love it. Judy, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking time to hang out with our listeners and even our vlog as we throw this up on YouTube here soon. Um, any final words for those listening, or any advice for people, just still kind of on the edge about whether they want to start getting on LinkedIn and doing some marketing?
You can have fun on LinkedIn.
I love it.
And it doesn't have to
I love
be the
it.
spammy experience that a lot of people are negative about.
Yeah.
I just believe you can experience an amazing time on LinkedIn and meet incredible people like Steve and Brian and the rest of the team that I have met. So thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Thanks for listening.